Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. It's the live chat, all things American Express, Dubai, TGL, whatever you want to talk about. I really don't care. This time is yours, and we're going to use it as efficiently and effectively as possible. Welcome in. Get those questions, those concerns, those comments in the chat right now. And I am just going to start firing us away where we normally start for each and every single one of these weeks, which is the weather. And of course, not much to point out. It's Palm Springs. There's a reason they call this dome golf. It's going to be low to mid 70s every single day. The windiest it'll get is about 8 miles an hour. It is going to be calm. It is going to be beautiful, and it is going to be great for scoring. I'll be in Palm Springs this week. Very, very quick trip. I don't even think I'm going to the Amex. I think I'm just going to play. I got invited out. I'm going to play 2 rounds of golf. I'm going to play a little bit of a home poker tournament, and I'm going to drive straight back. So this is good conditions for me as well. Maybe I can put together some low rounds. The one and done. So these questions are heating up. I love this time of year. One and done's going nuts. Our one and done, the Splash Sports Rick Rungood one and done World Championship starts in 2 weeks at Pebble Beach. $500,000 guaranteed. Talk about that in just a second. Here are the selections if you have already started for the American Express. Sam Burns is checking in at about the highest owned golfer of the week, about 20%. Sung Jae Im at 15%, and then a massive gap to everybody else. Justin Thomas, 6.1. Eric Cole and Adam Hadwin, 5% each. Nick Dunlap, Max Grazerman, 4. Patrick Cantlay, 3.5. Cam Young, 3.2. This is really interesting. I think I probably would have expected Sung Jae Im to be the highest owned and Justin Thomas to be part of a big 3. That is not the case. I do not know if this is a reflection of people wanting to save Justin Thomas for a bigger event because of the nature of this event is being a little bit wonky and a putting contest. Maybe they're afraid of Justin Thomas, but to see someone like Patrick Cantlay at 3.5%, to see guys, I mean, this is a really good leverage spot early in the season if you want to run out anybody not named Sam Burns and Sung Jae Im. We'll talk about it. There are obviously a lot of strategy implications depending on how big your pool is and what your current position is. That's why we use the Pool Genius tool that I helped collaborate on, all that fun stuff. So we can get into all these questions, but I think it'll be unlikely you see me playing a lot of Burns and Sung Jae. It'll be Justin Thomas. It'll be Harry Hall, Max Grazerman, even potentially Patrick Cantlay, though I think I probably want to save him for something a little bit bigger later on. I mentioned it. Our one and done, which if I refresh this, I bet you we have cracked 1,000 entries by now. Let's see. Oh, of course we haven't. 999. Go be the 1,000th entry. Go be 1,001. No matter how many people get into this thing, Splash is paying out $500,000. That was part of the negotiations. I went to the negotiation table, very tough for us, and said, it's got to be guaranteed. It's got to be a big number, and it's got to be a $150 entry. What can we do? And they said, okay, we can do 50. We can do 500,000, 50K for first, but we're going to start it at Pebble Beach. And I said, you got yourself a deal. There's also a high roller running, which is $1,000 entry if you want to get into that. Someone asked me how many people we think we're going to get for that. No idea. We've never done this before. I'm going to say 50-ish, I think would probably be fair. Still 2 weeks to go. And then, of course, our weekly listener league, the American Express, that's down to its final dozen or a couple dozen entries there. That's guaranteed as well. So things are cooking over at Splash. We are rocking. We are rolling. They're good dudes. I like them a lot. And it's great software. It's great software that's getting better all the time. Robert asks the $1 million question this week. Thoughts on course order preference? Nicholas tournament course is more exposed, and Thursday seems slightly better weather. Seems pretty close to me. Save La Quinta for moving day. Thinking the stadium course will play a couple of shots harder this year with the new greens. I think that's the key. So here, the order, as always, is La Quinta, Nicholas tournament course, stadium course. So if you start at Nicholas, you go Nicholas, Stadium, La Quinta. If you start at La Quinta, it's La Quinta, Nicholas, Stadium. If you start at Stadium, it's Stadium, La Quinta, Nicklaus tournament. Got it? And then everybody goes back to the stadium course on Sunday after the cut is made. There's I saw a couple other questions like, is there any correlation between the starting course? Well, here's the thing. The best players, or the players that they want on television, start at La Quinta. That's your Justin Thomas, your main guys that they want on TV both Saturday and Sunday at the stadium course. So throw that out the window. I do like the way that Robert is approaching this, however, which is saying almost day by day, okay, if this course is more exposed, do you want to get that on the better weather day if everybody's going to struggle at the stadium course? I think that is probably a pretty good take from Robert here. And I do agree. I don't know if the stadium course will play a couple of shots harder. That's a lot. It played about 3 strokes under par last year, but those new greens are a big deal. And from what I understand, they are bouncy, which is very, very common for new greens. It might take bigger bounces, might be a little bit more difficult to control the spin, to determine where the ball is going to wind up. So I think the stadium course will still probably play under par, a stroke under par, a stroke and a half under par, 2 strokes under par. But I do think it'll probably be maybe a half stroke more difficult than it was last year. With being one more year in without the live guy, without OWGR for live, can you give some input on who's currently qualified for the Masters? Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, someone, but it's the guys who have won major championships. So your Brooks, your Bryson, your Cam Smith, John Rahm, right? Those guys are all in. And then there are Joaquin Neiman, I believe, got a special invite. And somebody else got a special invite as well. Hatton is in, I believe. I think that's most of them. I'm sure I'm missing somebody or some ones, but that would be the gist of it. Rick, on the Pool Genius site, the column on the far left is pick grade. Yep. JT is a 95, but guys like Sung Jae, the square is blank. Any idea what this means? Yes. All right. So this to me is, I think, the best tool. I'm obviously biased about this because I helped the Pool Genius guys create this, but it's the one and done tool at Pool Genius. You can see that the thing is, I got an email about this today and it said, why does my grid look different than your grid? And it's like, that's the whole point. That is the whole point. My recommendations are different from your recommendations because you put in how big your pool is, what the payouts are, what tournaments you have on your schedule, if you have to pick 2 at any event, all of that stuff. And the model knows it all. And then based on your past picks, and especially as the year goes on, it knows who you have left. It knows who you can save for the future. It knows all of that stuff. So in this example, Tubin, the reason that you don't have a grade for Sung Jae, and neither do I, is because he's not on that short list. So there's not a grade for everybody. It's only graded for basically golfers in the top 20%, right? Like grades of 80 or more. And then everybody else is just kind of not there. And the idea is that this tool gives you a short list of golfers, grades them, points out what the projected popularity is going to be, and then you can choose from that short list. So Sung Jae is not on my short list either because there are better spots for Sung Jae. He's going to be popular. All these other factors. Sam Burns also not on my short list. So my short list is like Justin Thomas, Tony Finau, Davis Thompson. You can see that I selected Davis Thompson. And then as you have multiple entries, which I do, so I might get different suggestions. I'm definitely going to get different suggestions as the year goes on, if one lags behind or if one moves, further up. So as your position continues to change, you get different recommendations. So I love this. We get a discount. Again, negotiated. I just go to the negotiating table and say, let's give the Rick Run Good peeps what they want. The Rick Run Gooders, the Run Gooders. We have a discount. I believe it's the best discount they offer from anybody. The link is in the description. You can check it out. You can sign up. It's almost March Madness time. I'm going to do a lot of great stuff with their March Madness stuff. I used a lot of their bowl, Pick'em, and Survivor for NFL. They do a great job. They're good dudes. Tom over there is just one of my favorite guys. Brian says, you're the man, Rick. Appreciate all the work. Is Adam Hadwin a good option for one and done this week, or is he getting too cute good history here. He's been playing well to start off the season. All right. Basically everything else you see from here on out is probably my website, rickrungood.com. Giant database for golf betting, golf fantasy. It is golf only. It is all things golf data. Fire it up. I think it's probably a little bit too cute. Okay, I would disagree with the sentiment that he has been playing well to start the season. He finished 29th at the Century, which is just barely better than the middle of the field. He finished 59th at the Sony Open. Again, just hovering around the middle of the pack. I know his history here is great. I know he shot a 59 during this tournament, but the stat profiles that we are seeing from him now, he's really struggling with the putter. That's usually his superpower. That is something that you saw consistently during his runs at this event. Look at the ball striking numbers, just green across the board. What are we seeing from him right now? Red everywhere. And even red in the places he's usually one of the best in the world, which is really, really concerning. So we're going to find out, right? This is like, hey, bad recent form and great course history. What wins? Maybe it's course history. Maybe Adam Hadwin plays well this week, but the metrics are certainly not in his favor. Rick, one and done. I'm feeling Seabass, Christian Bezuidenhout. Would you back me on this or talk me out of it? I would mostly back you on this. So what I like about Bezuidenhout is he is a phenomenal putter. A lot of this event is going to be who can make the most 15 to 20 footers. That is a lot of this event. It's a pro-am. They stick the pin right in the middle of the green for the most part, and you have a lot of putts for birdie. It's just a matter of who makes them. I worry about the rest of his game. I do worry that he's not giving himself enough opportunities. He didn't hit it well at the Century. He's not going to lose 6.5 strokes off the tee again. That's a pretty tough thing to do outside of Kapalua, considering it's got these huge differences between losing your golf ball and hitting a ball that's 430 yards down the middle of the fairway. So I do like that he could fill it up. I am going to be a little bit cautious because of his recent approach play, but 3 decent enough starts here. He finished runner-up in his last trip. I would say I'm like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 on Bezuidenhout for your purposes, B-man. Be the man. Cody says, howdy, Rick. Hope you put the mortgage on LA Golf Club last night. Not even a sweat. Kisner's bad. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure the outcome would have been exactly the same if I played for Kevin Kisner last night. It would have been a blowout for Jupiter Links Golf Club. Kisner's driving the ball 260 yards. I'm driving the ball 260 yards. And I'm not saying this to boost myself. That's bad. Okay. Kisner tried to hit a 3-wood like 220 yards and couldn't carry it. He hit a 180-yard shot that went 130 yards on a par 3 off a tee. He shanked a ball out of a bunker. He only hit like 12 total shots. 11 of them were horrible. One was really good, a cross-handed chip over the backside. But my God, I truly honestly believe that if I would have played in Kevin Kisner's spot last night, it would have been the same outcome. And I'm not saying that to stroke my own ego. I think that's actually the truth. Hey, Rick, one and done question. Do we like Ben Griffin to avoid chalk in a smaller event, or is it worth using Sam Burns or Sung Jae this early in a lower money event? There has to be a better time to use them. Yeah, I mean, listen, Sung Jae, you're going to get cognizant. A lot of people like to use Sung Jae as like a second or third tier option at major championships or at like API, which is going to be a big purse, and not try to go with all of the top end players. Try to be a little bit different. Sam Burns, if he plays at Valspar, or again, he had some of his best major championship results last year. Maybe you think he's a breakthrough candidate. So I'm okay with saving those guys. Using Ben Griffin feels a touch bold, admittedly. I don't think there's a time that you need to use Ben Griffin this year. We can pull up his stats. I just don't know what the upside is, right? Like, I think Ben Griffin's probably going to have a decent week. Is he going to win? I think it's unlikely. Is he going to finish inside the top 10? Well, maybe. He's done it a couple of times. I'm actually like the two that I'm pretty interested in are Harry Hall and Max Grazerman. Both of them are phenomenal putters. Harry Hall has been great. We talk about this a lot, so I don't need to dive into the Harry Hall stuff, but Harry Hall has been awesome. A lot of wedges, a lot of great putts. I think he's playing with a ton of confidence. And then Grazerman as well doesn't hit his approaches as good, but he drives it well, and he's maybe the best putter on the PGA Tour, and he's also got results. So those are two guys who have good metrics and a lot better results than Ben Griffin. And they're both going to be, Grazerman's going to be 4.1% owned and Harry Hall is going to be 2.8. So it's not like it's not like those guys are 30% and Ben Griffin is 1%. It's just not. So I think it's a little bit too cute to go with Sam Burns in that spot. Can we get a deep dive on Kevin Yu? Looks like a good boomer bust option. You have got that right. If you look at Kevin Yu's profile here, which we're going to pull up, it is fun. I mean, we're talking about he can be maybe one of the best ball strikers in the field for that week. The putter is a +8 at Sanderson Farms, which he won. Loses 5 putting at the Century. Boomer bust is the perfect way to put it. I think the good news for him, not only the success that he's had at this event, T3 last year, but when you get these types of guys, like it's 54 guaranteed holes. Okay. So if Kevin Yu misses the cut, but makes a bunch of birdies along the way, you're only missing out on 1 round of potential fantasy points. It is not as detrimental as if this was a 36-hole cut. And with the upside of, holy crap, he might contend in this thing. So I think this is the type of event where you want to be running guys like Kevin Yu out. I saw at the Century that Zalatoris was tied for 4th in greens in regulation, but lost strokes to the field on approach. How is it possible to almost lead the field in greens in regulation, but lose on approach? Austin, this is a perfect strokes gained 101 little nugget here. So let's think about this. How can you hit a ton of greens and lose on approach? Well, everyone else is hitting a ton of greens, right? So I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like being 4th out of a field of 58 at Kapalua, which has massive greens, 8,000 square feet on average. The guy, like if you miss 2 more than Will Zalatoris, you might be in 30th in greens in regulation, right? There's just a bunch of guys who are going to hit a ton of greens. Now, because those greens are so big, if you are constantly hitting it to 50 feet, and your peers who might not be hitting as many, but they're constantly hitting it to 20 feet and then maybe missing a couple, then they hit 1 to 10. That is how it is conceivable to hit more greens, but lose strokes on approach. He also could have hit 1 bad approach that cost him 2 strokes or something like that, right? But in theory, it is very possible, especially on large greens, which is exactly what happened at Kapalua. Mina is getting into golf. Excellent. She is. She's actually going to go play her second 9 holes this afternoon. Wish us luck. She's got the bug. She's getting better every day. She's grinding in the sim. She's in the sim more than I am. She's going to go play her second 9 holes this afternoon, which will be fun. I'm basically just the caddy when I'm out there. Could you run a model or a course horse summary for the DP Tour? If I remember correctly, it was a sticky course history. Yeah. Okay. So let me get this right. So they are playing in Dubai, and I believe it's that course that I always want to mispronounce, and I want to call it Jumeirah, but it's Jumeirah, I believe. Let me see. Hold on. Oh no, I think I've got the wrong one. They're playing Emirates GC. All right. So my bad. I always confuse those couple of those Middle East and Dubai courses. So I did load in. I saw that DraftKings finally released the salary. So I did load in the salaries for Dubai Desert Classic. Before I just had everybody at $5,000, which is what I do for a placeholder. So let's do this. Let's do everybody in Dubai since 2020. And we are going to make the course Emirates GC. What is Emirates FC? Obviously not the football club. I'm wondering if that's just a typo. I think it is, because let's see here. I'll have to fix that. Is that Dubai Desert Classic or is it a different event? It is. Okay. That's a typo on my end, but we've got the right data. So here we go. Rory McIlroy's played it 3 times in the last couple of years, all in the last 3, third, first, and first. We've got Tommy Fleetwood with 20 rounds. That's a lot, gaining 1.64 per round. Adrian Meronk, 10 rounds, 2.25. Just trying to look for guys with large rounds. Brandon Stone, 10 rounds, 1.5. Bernd Wiesberger, 1.4 over 18 rounds. Terrell Hatton, I won't read them all. But yeah, there is some good, strong course history there, and I will update that typo. Also, Rick, good job of you and Greg saying you could make a team out of the 7K players last week. Yeah, this was the optimal lineup. I sent this out in my email newsletter. If you don't get it, it's 100% free. You're leaving it all on the table. The optimal lineup last week cost $43,300. How did Matty Schmidt hit the ball last week? I know he missed a couple, looking for signs of encouragement as he's the type of guy who can make birdies in bunches. Let's look. So Matty Schmidt, whoops. Matty, there we go. Finally, SCHM. Let's see how he hit it last week. Not good. Lost about 3/4 of a stroke per round at Sony. It's not the end of the world, especially because he's normally a pretty positive approach player. But you look at the last couple now. So we don't get the strokes game breakdown from Cabo or from Port Royal or from Leopard Creek. And those are 3 pretty subpar finishes. So I'm wondering if this is a longer streak of bad ball striking than we're being able to see right now. I tend to think it is. So I'm probably going to pass on Matty Schmidt, but we don't have the complete picture here. Seabez and Bridgman or EVR and Svensson? I think it is Bez and Bridgman. Can you please dive? Okay, so it's Montgomery, Silverman, or Chandler Phillips. I think the answer is Phillips here. Montgomery is just like kind of cooked. If it doesn't matter how many putts you make, if you cannot find the putting surface, if you are just like hemorrhaging ball striking, you have no chance. So here's Chandler Phillips' profile. He missed the cut last week at the Sony, very, very ugly fashion. But before that, he had 3 good starts in a row. You can see he kind of gets on these mini runs. 3 good events, 2 missed cuts. 3 good events, missed cut. Let's see if he can bounce back this week. I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace in that category. Silverman, see what he's been up to. I feel like he's always like T33. Played well at the Pro Tour. That was a long time ago. He also lost a ton of strokes on approach and tee to green at the Sony. Yeah, I'd be fine with either one of those. I probably just prefer Chandler Phillips. Good afternoon, Ron Gunners. Who is the producer's play of the week? Thanks. And please show your appreciation by tapping the thumbs up. Yeah, sure. Why not? Appreciate that. Greg, she has gone with Tom Hoagie. That's right. It is a Hoagie Fest. She called him the Hoagie Meister, I believe, when she told me that. She had some weird nicknames for him, but she went with Tom Hoagie, which is hard to argue. Is Amex the most random tournament of the year other than Zurich? Statistically speaking, probably. You know what else is up there is Torrey Pines is up there. It's a 2-course rotation, and the way that Torrey kind of demands a lot of long iron shots that can kind of create a bunch of different outcomes. The course history, and even for the best players, is never really good at that event. So that's probably up there. But this one with the 3-course rotation being early in the year, lots of new guys, the birdie, it is pretty random. It is pretty random. How come we haven't heard much about Max Grazerman? You haven't been watching this if that's the case, because I'm a Maxi boy until I'm told otherwise. Thanks for content as always. When playing the new PGA Fantasy, do you think it's worth it to burn one of your 3 chances to use a player based on course rotation? Oh, interesting. I'll tell you what, that's not what I did. I'll pull up my team here. So you're saying, hold on, let me pull up my team. PGA Tour fan. You can still get into this. So we're only a couple weeks in. The link's in the description, I believe. If you get in our league, it's a private league, and you beat me, I will put your name in an entry to win $500. God, 500, not 5,000. So currently there are 250 people beating me out of over 1,100. So if it ended right now, those 250 would go into a draw. You'd have a 1 in 250 shot of winning $500. Plus, I just kind of like it. So this is the team that I went with. I'm trying to be a little freaky. I captained Harry Hill. Sick, right? But I'm going with Sam Burns, Sung J M, and Justin Thomas. I have Grazerman and I have Davis Thompson on my bet. So let's see your question, Robert. Do you think it's worth it to burn one of your 3 chances to use a player based on course rotation? I think the answer to your question, in my opinion, is no, because I don't really think I care about the course rotation that much. So I'm not going to use it to make my decision here. I believe this will be the second time that I use, let's see. I'm using Burns for the second time, and I'm using Grazerman for the second time, although I won't necessarily have to use Grazerman if he sits on my bench the entire time. But I'm burning Burns. Like I've already used Burns twice now. This will be the first time I use Sung Jae, the first time I use Justin Thomas, the first time I use Harry Hall. Nolan, who's a member of the YouTube channel, thank you. Appreciate all you do for us each week. Could you do a deep dive on Tony Finau? Absolutely, I would. Absolutely. I think eye test, I thought he's looked a little bit rusty. That offseason knee procedure, I thought he's just kind of looked a little bit off. If you look at the metrics, well, I don't know how far we can go because he's only played one event after the knee surgery, right? So that was the Century where, yeah, I think this is kind of encouraging. He picked up 5.7 strokes putting in round 1. He's not going to do that again. Maybe that might be the best single round of his season already. But what I like is he hit it a lot better the final 3 rounds and got better each of the final 3. I just thought he looked a little bit rusty. So I'm pretty excited about him. Good results here. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think this is like a 7.5, 8 out of 10, something like that. No, I'm unlikely to do anything specific because this is a pro-am. Longer rounds, shorter rounds, guys like it, guys don't like it. No, probably not going to do anything different. When using your custom model lineup builder, which is right. Oh, I think I canceled it out. Hold on. Custom model. What does the lineup randomness reflect? I can request the same number of lineups with the same model and get 2 very different player exposures. That's right. Yes. Then it's working perfectly. Randomness is just that. It's random. So what it does is this. So right now it's the default. Oh, I'll get it out of the way so you can see. Down here in the bottom left. Right now it's set at 10. 10 randomness, 10 units, 10% is really what it is. So it takes the score that you get after you put all your values in and will, every time you run lineups, will assign something between negative 10% and positive 10% of randomness to that score. So like Matt McCarty might have a score of 100, but in this run, it's 108. And in the next run, it's 93. And in the next run, it's 97. And in the next run, it's 102. And you're doing that for every player in the field. And the idea is that it allows for just a little bit of randomness, a little bit of luck, a little bit of creativity, a little bit of things that, I like to use it to get access to golfers I wasn't going to have access to. If you just blindly follow your values and say, give me the 150 best lineups off these values, it's going to give you a very kind of binary result, right? It's going to give you here's the lineups. The randomness allows for a little bit of outside influence, if you will. And I like that. Now you can crank it up like 50, 60, 70, it'll do some crazy stuff. 10 is usually enough. If you want to get really freaky, 20. If you want to get super freaky, have at it. But that's the way that I use it. Rick, I am about to deposit into Splash, but I want to know if there's a code I can use that would benefit me, you/us. Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike. So I don't have a code. I have a link. The link is in the description. That will give me credit for it, which I appreciate. And it should, I don't know if they're doing any bonus or promo right now, but if they are, it should also be reflected in that link. So it's usually I just have the best promo available. I get credit for it. You get the promo if they're running one. I don't know if they are at the moment, but thank you, Mike. The link is in the description. Also, could you do a deep dive on Nate Bargatze? Yeah. So if you didn't see this, there's some Easter eggs within rickrungood.com. The problem is I started adding the matches. So first off, if you see somebody like Steph Curry, Steph Curry has to be in the database because Steph Curry has actually played Korn Ferry Tour events, right? And he's also played 2 different matches. So Steph Curry has a profile on rickrungood.com because he has to. He's played in professional events. But if I'm going to do one match, I've got to do all the matches. Well, the most recent match was just a bunch of celebrities and stuff, but I put it in anyway. So now I'm in a world where Nate Bargatze has a golfer profile on rickrungood.com. It just has his L at the match 10 superstars, but like, where am I supposed to stop? Right? Like Wayne Gretzky's in here. Charles Barkley's in here. Right? I mean, there's like, I kind of have to. Old Tom Morris is in here. Right? Like that one makes a lot of sense. It's got his result, but like, it's, you know, people stumble upon these ones all the time. And it's like, that's weird. I'm like, I kind of have to do it. All right. Hey, Rick, I'm looking through the low 6K range to fill out my roster. Can you please do a deep dive on Francesco Molinari? Oof. Yeah. Just played the team event last week in Europe, I believe. Let's see. RSM Classic. He played well, but missed the cut. Not going to beat him up for that. Bermuda was better. Oof. He's been good here, but he hasn't been here since 2022. I'll tell you what, he's not for me, but if you want to play him, that's fine. I'm unlikely to play him. This doesn't look that great for me. Can we get a deep dive on Davis Thompson? Yeah. So I actually did play Davis Thompson. Ended up being one of the guys that I played enough in one and dones, a little bit here. I'm forgiving quickly for the miscut at the Sony, because before that he was absolutely crushing it. So from the miscut at the Canadian Open to the miscut at the Sony, he had a win, 3 other top 10 finishes, a T12, hadn't missed the cut, one of the better tee to green players. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous, because we've lost the approach play and the putter in his 2 starts in 2025, but that's only 6 rounds. I'm going to cut him some slack here. We know he's got legitimate winning upside. He's got 2 really good finishes here. I think we should rock. Straka and Del Solar, or Jesper Svensson and Brian Campbell. I believe it is Straka and Del Solar. Grazerman v. Hall v. Harmon for one and done. My opinion is Hall, Grazerman, Harmon, but here's what I'm going to do for you. Watch this. Let's use the tools. So let's go to the head-to-head matchup tool, which is also a 3-ball tool. And just for kicks, we'll go to the dark mode. Boom, boom, boom. We'll put the last 36 rounds for 36 rounds for everybody in this field, or for all 3 of those guys. And we are going to plug in Grazerman. Let's see what the model says. Grazerman, Harry Hall, and Brian Harmon. Who's going to win this 3-ball? All right. This has Grazerman winning that 3-ball 51% of the time. Harry Hall winning it 37% of the time. Brian Harmon winning it less than 10%. He's been really, really bad outside of last week. Let's open this up, though. 100 rounds. How does this change? Harmon comes up to 14%. Hall goes to 29%. Grazerman still wins it, 32%. So, Jason, if you want to follow just the model, it's Grazerman. I think it's Grazerman or Hall. Feelings on TGL. Have you watched any yet? Yeah, I've watched like the whole thing. I'm the demo. I like golf. I like data. I have a simulator in the garage. I love sim golf. I think sim golf, like I want to go to South Korea and play sim golf. Like I'm the perfect demo for this. So I better love it. If I don't love it, they're totally screwed. So I do. I think it's really cool. I think that there's some improvements they can make. I think that some of the players could be replaced. I think that some of the format could be different. I think that the strategy using the hammer is really, really bad. These teams need a statistician on the squad. But yeah, no, listen, it's cool. I think it's cool. I'm not going to act like it's equivalent of winning major championships or anything like that. Like, I think it's cool on Monday and Tuesday nights. Rico Hoey has a cheap play this week. I think that's fair, right? Rico has been, he's cooled off a bit, but do I have him in here as Rico or as Richard? I think he's in here as Richard. Yeah, he is. Okay. He's cooled off a little bit. Remember, he was on that really, really good run kind of last summer from Rocket Mortgage on, but still hasn't missed a cut since the US Open. The metrics are still there. I need him to putt a little bit better. This dude is a great driver. He's got firepower for days. I think that's really fair. Happy Wednesday. In a pool where you pick one guy every week. Okay, so this is just a one and done. I mean, I'm playing Harry Hall in that exact situation. Is La Quinta the easiest of the three? Last year, La Quinta and the Nicholas Tournament course played fairly close to one another. Hold on, I've got the numbers here. Ba-da-ba-ba-bum. La Quinta played 4.1 under par. Nicholas played 3.9, so 4.1, 3.9. So they're within 0.2 of a shot of one another. And then the stadium course played 2.8. If I had to guess, I think the stadium course probably plays like 2.3 this year. What's the deal with this Rosner dude? And are we comfortable reloading Sapin every week until he is above 8K? All right, well, let's figure out what the deal is with Antoine Rosner. Now, I don't do the hard sell for rickrungood.com very often, but when I do, it's guys like this. So if you are not using a tool or a database that doesn't have DP World Tour, Live, the Asian Tour, Corn Ferry Tour, Senior Tour, and PGA Tour, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. Because the last time that Antoine Rosner played on a PGA Tour event was July. Yet he's played like 15 times since then, and I've got the strokes gain metrics to go along with it. Very, very good approach player. He has turned the corner with the putter. He had this stretch where he was miserable for 6 starts, and now he's picked up strokes putting in each of his last 3 measured events. We've got a 4th, a T6, a T3. He did just miss the cut and then finished on the wrong side of it on the Team Cup. No worries there. Yeah, I think Rosner's a great play. And then Sapin, Frankie is just going to, I think he had, 2 really good rounds, 2 really bad rounds at the Sony, something like that. Yeah. And this is what I see out of him. Plus 3.7, plus 3.2. It is easier to clean up the bad ones than have good ones. So yeah, Frankie's just like a click until something else happens. Surprised by Clanton fold last week, but only one way to recover. Michael Thorbjornsen top 20. So did we ever get a note on why Michael Thorbjornsen withdrew 1 hour before the start of the Sony Open last week? Did we ever get that? Maybe he was sick. Maybe he was ill. Maybe he had food. I don't know. But like, he's just going to play and he's good. If that's the case, then let's roll. Because I liked him at the Sony. So I like him again this week. He is a very talented player who can putt well, and the approach plays picked him up 2 strokes each of his last 2 starts. I do not know why that withdrawal happened. I'm going to just act like it didn't and move on. Yahoo, here we go. Thoughts on Eric Cole for one and done, or better to save him for the Florida swing? I think this is admittedly a pretty decent spot to use him. So the Pool Genius tool has him, for me, ranked just in the short list. He's a touch popular, and yes, he's got the Florida swing events coming up. But like, unless you're going to use him at Honda, which you could argue you could just use Sungjae there if he's going to play it, or if you want to have a backup plan in case Sungjae doesn't play it. I'm okay using Eric Cole here. He's definitely in my top 5. It's like Harry Hall, Grazerman, Davis Thompson, Justin Thomas, Eric Cole, Patrick Cantlay. But I like all those other guys probably a little bit better. Deep dive on Siwoo. I don't think much has changed, right? So we did a deep dive on Siwoo, I want to say last week, but let's get into it, Dan. Are you the Dan Ryan that I know? No, that does not look like the Dan Ryan that I know. I guess that's a pretty common name, though. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? He is going to either putt the lights out and contend and win like he did here in 2021. And actually, in all but one of his trips here, he's gained strokes putting, which is a pretty good sign, because that's really the one thing that's going to matter. So I would say, yes, let's go Siwoo 7, 8 out of 10, something like that, because we need a good putting week, and he's putted well here historically, or at least at this event historically. 6 and 7K range. It says, I like Cam Davis, Echeverria, EVR, Straka. I would rank them probably Echeverria, Straka, Cam Davis, EVR. Who are you highest on for this week out of the guys that finished in the top 5 last week? Okay, interesting. Let's go to the cheat sheet. I've got all my tabs screwed up now, but let's go to the cheat sheet. American Express, close this out. And what I'll do is I'll just sort by the guys who finished well last week. So probably not Nick Taylor. Definitely Nico and Johnny Vegas. Okay, no. So it's probably Nico, Spawn, then Johnny Vegas. JJ Spawn, great week. Vomits all over himself coming in. Still a great approach player. Vegas has been awesome. He just can't putt, man. Can we get like a +2 from Johnny Vegas this week? If we can, watch out. That's all we need. I mean, he finished 4th at the Century, losing strokes putting. He's played this event constantly. He's won this event, and he's missed the cut like 9 times since then. So just unbelievably high risk, high reward. DP guys are cheap. I'm scared their first North American tournament is usually not good. I'm not as concerned about that. I understand what you're saying. I think that is, I don't have the data to back this up, but I think that is less relevant. I think that guys are a lot better at traveling now, figuring everything out. All good. What is one stat line you would follow for this tournament to help you make the best pick to win the tournament? If I can only choose one, weighted strokes gained. And I would just put if I can only choose one, give me the last 50 rounds for everybody in weighted strokes gained total. Tony Finau, Sung J M, Max Grazerman, Patrick Cantlay, Davis Thompson. Like, sure. Give me those 5 against the field. It's kind of tough to only pick one, but that if you maybe pick one, that's what it would be. I'm going to lump a couple of Cam Davis questions together. I don't feel like I'm that bullish on Cam Davis, but let's see. It's feast or famine, you know. T5 missed cut, T13 missed cut, and then his American Express, 3rd missed cut. Driving it poorly. Second shots aren't great. Putter's not as good as we've seen it get. 5 out of 10, 4.5 out of 10. Spoke about JJ Spawn. I'm in on Spawn and much prefer him to Adam Hadwin. Rick, you're the GOAT. Appreciate it. Michael, can you show us the ownership in the 7K range and a couple of your favorites in that range? I can. So let's do this. So let's just do 7,000 to 7,900. Sort it by projected ownership. Ben Griffin and Sepp Straka are the two that seem to be coming in over 10%. Everybody else in single digits. I like Echeverria at 79. I like Thor Bjornsson at 72. I'm a sucker for Berger, but you don't have to play. I do think these two here, Glover and Jesper Svensson. I like Svensson. I know that he did the vast majority of his work last week in the short game categories. I get that, but he's still going to need to putt well. He finished T10 in his first, as someone else said, first North American start. I'm impressed by that. And then quietly, Lucas Glover is reeling me back in. I did not get burned by Glover after those wins. What was that? A couple years ago. And I've gotten all the juice out of Lucas Glover. Like I feel like I've had a really good finger on the pulse of Lucas Glover. Some guys I have no idea about, but the fall has been unbelievable. I mean, he was so good in the fall. He kept it going to the Sony. The putter has picked him up strokes in 4 out of his last 5 measured. He is literally one of the best second shot players on the planet. What are we doing? Not just running out Lucas Glover everywhere. Answered a couple of these. I like Nico a lot. Do we have enough data for the breakout candidate tool? Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, it just uses however many number of rounds you want. So guys that are on the correct quadrant here, Jackson Suber, JJ Spawn, Alex Smalley, Johnny Vegas, Joe Highsmith, guys that are right on the border, Nico and Max Grazerman. Guys in the second good quadrant, Andrew Putnam, Ben Coles, Mark Hubbard. The third quadrant, which is the second to worst quadrant, Brian Harmon, Peter Malnati, Harry Higgs, Francesco Molinari, Christian Bezuidenhout. The worst quadrant, Reeve, Vince Whaley, Adam Svensson, Sammy Valimaki, Luke List, etc. Glad to see you for the 2025 season. Whoop, 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 whoop. Can you stack and rank the 3 courses easiest to hardest? Yes. It's, well, historically, it's La Quinta, Nicholas Tournament, Pete Dye Stadium course. Can you do a model? Oh, boy, let's do it. I have a hard out in 15 minutes. I have a phone call, actually. I have a meeting, a Rick Run Good meeting, baby, where we are, it's about data and I don't want to give away development. So I do have to be out of here in 15 minutes. So let's go into overdrive. Can you do a model with last 36 rounds, driving accuracy? Yes. So driving, I'm way zoomed in for you guys to be able to see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put, I'll put 15 on accuracy. Strokes gained off the tee, I'll do 20. Strokes gained tee to green, 20. We've double counted a lot here, Nico. Strokes gained around the green, 20. Strokes gained approach, 20. We're double counting a lot. Opportunities plus gained with whatever's left, which is 5. So Nico's model, which I don't know if I endorse, but Nico's model is Kurt Kitayama, Matt Kuchar, Henrik Norlander, Chan Kim, Max McGreevy, Doug Gim, JJ Spawn, Mac Meisner, Antoine Rosner, Alex Smalley. With the course rotation, is there a course you would prioritize or avoid in Showdown? Prioritizing La Quinta and Nicholas Tournament. Back and forth between Hall and D. Thompson for one and done. Who is the better putter? 100% Harry Hall. And I've played both of them, but I have probably played more Hall than Thompson. What do we think of Fishburne this week? That's Patrick Fishburne. Whoops, share my screen. I think pretty good, right? Hit it. He generally hits it pretty well. Good putter, big, strong guy. Probably going to hit a lot of wedges. Do you see a world we're playing Harry Hall this week? Hell yeah. I would love to do the one and done, but Splash Sports won't let me do it in my state. So we've got 2 weeks. I would never tell you to do this, Mo, but I've heard that as long as you sign up in a place that is regulated, you're good. And all you have to do is you can make your picks from anywhere. I know this to be true because I signed up for an NFL Survivor in a legal state and I was able to make my picks in Mexico and when I was traveling and all that stuff. So once you just register in the right spot, you're good. So if you're traveling over the next couple of weeks, if you're in a different state, if you're in a different area, maybe that is helpful to you or someone else. What am I missing with Patrick Rodgers? He seems to be super underpriced. Okay, let's look, Ryan. T9 in Bermuda, T17 at the RSM, and a pretty darn good Sony Open considering he missed the cut, but was good everywhere but with the putter, and he's usually a very good putter. Let's look at his American Express history. Not great. Actually pretty pathetic. What's his price? 73. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I think that it's conceivable to, it could be like $8,000. I don't think he's crazy underpriced, but I do think he's probably underpriced. What do you think about me betting Hovland for the Dubai? I just want to see a little bit more. That's all. I think he's absolutely on the right track. I didn't really love the comments that he was making about his swing earlier today or yesterday or whatever that was in Dubai. We have a serious around the green problem again. I think that he's going to figure this out. I know this is obviously a really good golf course for him, but I'm going to wait. And I mean, you're also getting like Rahm and Hatton and like some more live guys in that field. This field's going to be pretty darn good. So I do think we're going to wait. Ryan asks a really good question. And I, if you don't follow me every week or see me do this, what is the difference between projected points and score on the custom model? Projected points is a fantasy point projection that I do just so that there is something to project off of. Score is what you do. So anytime you put in any one of the score updates, the projected points never change unless I change them. But when you put in your weights, that's the score out of 100 being the best possible, 50 being average. And that is what the model will default off of to optimize with projected points only being used if you asked it. All right, I've got 10 minutes here. We got to go fast now. I wish I didn't have a hard stop. I do this for 2 hours, but improvements to rickrungood.com. That's what this meeting is about. That's what the brain. Okay, let's just keep going. Yes, I agree. I thought Harmon was going to win last week as well. Because I picked him, and then I said no. Where should Sepp Straka actually be priced? It's probably fair. How do I sign up for the newsletter? Links in the description for everything, or go to rickrungood.com/newsletter. Yeah, Wesley Bryan has driven it a lot better and has always been one of the better wedge and putters on the PGA Tour. He's in a good run right now, even though he missed the cut at the RSM Classic last time we saw him, but he gained strokes there. I think Wesley's a great play. What do you think of Hoagie's form coming in? He looks close to me. He played well at the Century, got off to a really good start at the Sony, and then kind of faded a little bit. But I think this is a good little set for him. I missed the Wednesday live chats. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's right. I do them all year round. We talked about Lucas Glover. I think he's incredibly undervalued. I noticed particular holes on PGA Fantasy, the scorecard having triple circles on them while the hole has not been placed. Do you know what that is? No, but I also think that they had a couple issues that they've been working through. You should probably email them on that. Tom Brady does indeed have a golfer profile. Why wouldn't he? He has played in 3 different matches. He is 1-3. There he is. Does Harry Hall make a lot of birdies? Is the American Express not a birdie fest? Yes, and yes, all of these guys can make a ton of birdies, Harry Hall included. What is your betting card? Don't bet what you bet. It's our money. Spend it how we want. Rubright knows that is the key. I have bet on Harry Hall at 55-1 and that stinking JT Poston at 70-1 because I can't quit. And I have room for one more. I will probably, honestly, I might just bet Rory McIlroy in Dubai with it. I think I'm happy to go to battle with those guys. They need some GC quads. Agreed. When you have a field of 150 odd players, how do you start your analysis to pick the top 15 to 20? Okay. So very, very quickly here. I go to the course key stats. I look at what stats are historically most relevant and most correlated to success. I will then usually go to the custom model and I will allocate my weights in a way that matches that. And I will start to see, okay, who's popping up, who is, if you have a guy who is $7,000 ranked number 3, that's a big deal. Then I'll start clicking through these names. I will start going into their golfer profile pages. I will favorite the ones that I think are interesting and I want to come back with. I will then start running different types of lineups with randomness and different projected ownership, and I will just narrow it down from there. Okay. I love that I can search any PGA stat in the Holy Grail. Just curious as why we can't choose any stat we want in the custom model. Is it a data size thing? Not necessarily. Some of them are provided on a non-round by round basis. So they're just stats for the whole season, which then kind of makes it a little bit weirder for the custom model. But trust me, we're headed in that direction. Would you prefer Tom Kim, Justin Thomas, Tom Kim and Justin Thomas, or Patrick Cantlay and Sam Burns? Kim and Thomas. Good luck, Nina. It'll be fun. It's Mina, but that's cute anyway. Thank you. Okay. I already ran that model. I'm like way behind on that. Can you run a model that is heavy on approach and putting 150 in? Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. So let's clear the weights. So let's just do this. We are going to do 25 on strokes gained approach. Then we're going to go down to strokes gained approach here and do 150 and in. Okay. So we'll do that. That's 50 of our weights. Then we're going to do putting on Bermuda for 25, maybe 20. Bonus putting for 15. And then another 15 on strokes gained putting in the last 24. And Chris's number 1 golfer is Eric Cole, then Harry Hall, then Ben Griffin, then Sam Burns. Good Lord. I hope that comes true. Would it be possible to add an optimal lineup percentage to the stats page? Optimal lineup. Oh, I'll write it down. Optimal lineup percent. Historic. Okay, I wrote it down. I will look into it. I've played the single stat contest. It's fun, but not that fun. I have done it before. It's okay. A lot of ties. Deep dive on Dean Burnmeister, not Dean Burnmeister. Dean Burnmeister. Mean Dean has been playing well. T12, the Alfred Dunhill. T5, the International Series. T21 at Saudi. T28. Decent results here. Yeah, Dean Mean, pretty good. Maybe I'll bet Dean Mean, quite honestly. I love Dean Burnmeister. Okay. I have to stop here because I have to go and make the website as good as possible. So it has been an absolute pleasure to be with you. I will see you all next week. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Go sign up for rickrungood.com. If you hate it, I'll just refund you. You're not going to hate it. You're going to love it. Also, links for everything you need are in the description. Contest, newsletter. We've done all the hard work. We put it in the description. You guys are the best. We're leaving. Goodbye.